Well, let's see where we're at right now. Okay. Morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the third day of July, 2019. Well, I've done this a few times already today. I don't know what happened. It was weird the first time. It got garbled. I don't know what happened. The second time, I don't even know. I don't even want to think I know. But it's like I started it, stopped it, and then thought I started a new one. But then I guess I had part of the other one. I don't know. I don't know. So we're going to see how this goes. And if I just don't get it, then I don't get it. And I'll apologize. And maybe I'll come back tomorrow and try it then. Although tomorrow, is the 4th of July. So I was actually going to take tomorrow off. So but let's just see. We'll get real focused here and get shuffling. I've already shuffled a million times already. So what difference does it make? I could just start right now and be done with it. But I'll go ahead. Well, anyway, good morning. Welcome to all of you who have not been here before. Thank you so much for coming by. Usually I'm a little more organized than this, but once in a while, I don't know what happens. I get started and I don't know, the words just don't come, and or they come out wrong, or I'm stumbling too much or whatever, I'm not just a witch, I'm an empath, and how things come into me, it comes very quickly. So if I'm aware of energies or whatever, I will get the whole message all at once. And then I have to go back and figure out what the heck that was, what the heck was that? So the same is true for here, because I have all this stuff going on in my head about what I'm seeing here, and then to have to try to organize it all in some way that makes sense to folks is it's just the way my head sort of swirls about. So sometimes I have to start over, because I'll listen to these before I publish them, and it's like, oh my God. You said what? It's like, well, I don't think I can fix that in the notes. Oh, and that's the thing, if I say something and I don't catch it and I'm like totally wrong, and when I watch it, I'll see it. And so look down there in the notes. I put all my links to everything in the notes below here, below the video, and all the, wherever I am on social media, where my blog is and all of that. But sometimes I'll put in there, okay, this is where I screwed up. Sorry. So look there, because you'll find sometimes where I might, update. Say, okay, I meant to say this, and this is what stupid thing I said instead. So I meant this, I said that. So always check the notes. So let's go ahead and get started. Third time's the charm. Well, here we have the 7 of Cups. Now, a lot of people see this as having our head in the clouds. I say dreaming about new dreams, but that's just me. Being a 7, it's about balance, balancing shadow side with spirit. It's about divinity, magic. To me, it's the numerological representation of the scales. So I think it's more like a card of Libra in a way. But the 7 of Cups, it often means that we are being unrealistic in our expectations, maybe. Emotions are too all over the place, and we can't quite settle down and be realistic. We expect too much, maybe. But on the other hand, if we don't dream about things that maybe are unrealistic, where does innovation come from? Might be unrealistic in your concept of it, but maybe someone else has a way forward through it. See, how do you know if you don't talk about it, if you don't consider it? So I'm not quite as negative about this card as a lot of people are. because I don't see anything wrong with, it's no different than when you go to college and, you're getting close to the end of it, right? And you start thinking about all the things you're going to be able to do with that degree, maybe buy a home, have kids, because today, having children is a real choice, isn't it? It's not like it was when I had kids, when it was easy to do that. Now it's incredibly expensive if you have to pay for childcare, decent childcare. Oh my Lord. So, it's a decision, but when you're in college and you're getting toward the end of it and you're starting to think about, well, what am I going to be able to do with all of this? That's learning I've done, this degree I'm getting. So to me, the seven of cups also represents that. So unrealistic is in the eye of the beholder, maybe. Let's do another card. And if this is your first time here, I welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. But I wanted to tell you that I do take the 13th card each time. Those of you who've been here before know that. I like things to be random. 13, I was born on the 13th, October 13th, and it does figure prominently in my life in a lot of weird ways that I've shared over time here. But I just like things to be really random when I do this. And here we have the 10 of Wands. So emotions and our will. Wands is the fire element. Cups is our emotions. Here we're carrying a heavy burden. It's all out in front of us, organized. We see our home or maybe the town in the distance there. Maybe it's just our home. But we've got a lot of burdens, don't we? And they're kind of blocking our vision forward. I mean, he's plodding along, he can see the ground and everything, but he's not looking really forward. So there's a sense of stasis to that. So we're a little bit unrealistic, maybe, or maybe we're thinking about the future and exploring new things. Maybe we should in fact, let's put the 10 first. Let's put the burdens first. Oops. Solar fire just came up on the screen. I think I have to do a lunar transits today, so it's like reminding me, hey, we've got things to do. But if we begin with the burden, yeah, okay, we're going to begin with that burden. And while he's looking down, I'm going to have him think about what is happening in the 7 of Cups. So he's got this burden. It's all pretty organized. So he's got it well in hand. He knows where he's going. He doesn't really need to see in front of him. But right now, he may be thinking about all the things that can happen as a result of all this effort that he's putting in. So it's not really for nothing, is it? Being a 10 card, you're talking about numerologically a 1. So right now we're at an 8 energy collectively. But that's new beginnings. So I think at this point we're just going to have him be thinking about all the things that he can do with whatever is going to manifest from this burden that he's carrying. Let's do another card. Well, okay. We might have to move these cards around a little bit more. I think I'm going to draw a 4th card too. Well, here we see the castle in the distance. The man is bowing his head. He's looking at his overturned cups. 2 cups appear behind him, standing up. Can't really tell if there's anything in them. There's some water, a stream flowing by. Or a small river, maybe. There could be more distance here between this scene and the the body of water. There you've got and I say that because of that arched bridge back there, over there to the right. You wouldn't necessarily need something like that for a small stream, but unless it was built when there was a raging river there, and it's not so much right now, maybe. But 5 is about change. This is about some change in emotions, change in emotional stability, letting go maybe of things that no longer serve you, or at least of emotions that are no longer serving you. But let's look here. It's disappointment and grief, but it could be misplaced. He's not looking toward the future, he's looking down at the ground. And so you could say directionally, he's looking toward ego. And so maybe he's this change that's happened, he's coming to some kind of a realization. Let's do a 4th card. I feel like there's something here. Either he spent too much time with his head in the clouds and his emotions are getting the better of him, and his emotions are clouding his will. Maybe they're clouding his ability to move forward. Maybe the emotions are creating the burden that he's having. We need a 4th card though, don't we? 7 and 5 is 12, that's 3, 1 is 4. So we've still got structure. So either the 5 is going to come before the 7 or the 7 is going to come before the 5, but we've got lost focus here. Emotions have gotten the better of us, and we're just disappointed by what's going on. So maybe the 7 does belong in front of it. And so maybe we worked really hard. You know what? I'm going to start again with see if I can keep this on the screen here. I'm going to start with the 10 of Wands. So here's our burden, okay? We had lots of dreams. We're working hard on them, but there's been some disappointment. So maybe we weren't able to manifest whatever those burdens were that we were carrying around. Maybe our will is getting in the way of things, and we're not, maybe that isn't about like work that we're doing, creative effort, maybe it's not so much that. Maybe we have just lost so much focus that we're not seeing where we're going, and our emotions have gotten in the way of our will, and it's just left us without any real pathway forward. Whatever we were hoping to achieve, the lost focus, the emotions have gotten so far involved here that all we're doing is we're just carrying this burden around. Instead of will being able to overcome, maybe the misuse of emotion, or feeling that something is that it isn't. We get all worked up about something, and it's really not what we think it is. Water quenches fire. So here we have a dominant, the water element is dominating here over the fire element, and so emotions are getting in the way and creating possibly the burden. Our unrealistic expectations. Say you have a family that has a lot of burdens. Maybe you've got, one person, one of the adults in the family maybe spends money like crazy, doesn't know how to manage money, and the other person is working, just trying to provide for the family while the other person just spends all the money, all focused on them, and it's not about the whole family, right? The other person has their heads in the clouds. So that could be what this is describing. If you're in a relationship where it's not in balance, where you're not focused in the same direction, one's more focused on the self, the other's focused on maybe everybody. Well, that doesn't work, does it? Let's do a fourth card. Well, we have the Empress aligning with today, a 3 energy, mind, body, spirit in balance. You see her crown of stars. You see the verdant ground behind her, all the trees, all the lush greenery. She's got roses on her gown. She's holding a scepter in one hand. She's got the shield with the sign of Venus on it. You have the alchemical manifestation of the Magus or Magician card, followed by the High Priestess. The two of them are bringing all of that into form, all of that energy coalescing into form through the energy of those two cards. The Fool takes the leap, and then all of this happens with the Magician or Magus and the High Priestess. And then next we have the manifestation of the world and creation with the Empress. But somehow or another, we've gotten out of balance here, and we've allowed emotions to dominate over the creative side or our willful side, the side that gets things done. And so it's basically quenched that fire. And the Empress is reminding us mind, body, spirit in balance has to be the way forward. It is who we are, spirit focused into form. So that needs to be where we begin. Empress is about beginnings. It's about fertility. It's about birth, childbirth, manifestation into the world. We could put her in the beginning, but then we would see how we failed her. So I think that the Empress and the energy of the Empress provides the solution. Coupled with Sawillow, the sun energy, in answer to our battle of will here with the 10 of wands. I think that we got ahead of ourselves with our emotions, and I think our expectations aren't proper. And when they're not in alignment with what it is we need to actually get done in order to manifest, our foundation, our money, our income, our legacy, our home, our whatever, the physical side of life is what the earth element shows us. But basically, if we're not willing to, and the Empress is part of that, the Empress is part of the earth element. So, and part of the manifestation into form. But right now, our emotions have quenched the fire within, and we're not seeing things in a way that's realistic. And so our way forward is impeded, isn't it, by our emotions. But we don't know that by looking at this, do we? We just see a guy with his head down trying to walk forward bearing a burden. But we just don't know where that burden came from. Is it willful? It could be. But the 10 is about completion. It's also about new beginnings. Sort of a Degas moment. And in a way, if you turn it this way, it kind of looks like the rune Degas, only imbalanced, doesn't it? Not much is emerging on this side yet. But now Sawillow is going to be the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark, and so you're talking a 7 energy. Again, an as above, so below rune. This time with the horizontal plane factoring in, you can see that. So balanced polarity. Here, polarity has gotten off, and in terms of receptive presence has maybe overtaken projective presence. So in this case, if you were to look at it in terms of masculine and feminine polarity, then you would say the feminine side has overtaken the masculine side, and we can't really see the forest for the trees. So if we want to, we can take the Seven of Cups first, the Five of Cups next, the Ten of Wands next, and then the Empress. The answer is found with the Empress and in balanced energy, the balanced energy exchange of Sawillo. Let's do a geomancy rune, though, to see if we can pull all of it together. Well, if I don't drop them on the floor, like I did. Now, if you want to go over to the blog at imsteppingaside.com, you will see the latest geomancy reading for the month of July. You'll also see the monthly tarot reading for July, and then sometime today you will see go up the new lunar transits, but the current ones are up right now. We had a new moon yesterday. There was also a solar eclipse in the southern hemisphere, which was very cool. I didn't get to see it, although we were in the path of totality for the one 2 years ago here. So that was really cool. In fact, if you go to my personal Facebook page, not the Stepping Aside one, you'll see the picture, the main picture there, the header. That's actually taken from that day. So it's very cool. I played around with some effects and it was bubbles. It's very cool. Anyway, it was a neat day. I couldn't believe we could actually see that. But there it was. Oh, well, okay. So we have poor, which is young boy. I will show you what it looks like drawn out without drawing it out. That's Puella. That's the young girl. That's the opposite of it. Oh, there he is. Now, keep in mind, a single dot indicates an active presence, a dual dot indicates a passive presence. And what you have here is 3 single dots and a dual, don't you? So you got a lot of impulse control issues with this guy. He's a young boy, so youthful energy. If it was Puella, then you would see a girl that was fortunate but not too fortunate. This would be Puella. Again, same kind of flighty energy. But poor is saying that there's just some instability here, maybe a lack of impulse control, and that may be where the Seven of Cups and the Five of Cups come in. Now together they constitute a 3 energy. And so you're talking about a lack of mind, body, spirit balance here because emotions are getting the best of us and we're not being very realistic. Maybe we've gotten caught up in something that's just misplaced and we shouldn't have been there. And it's unfortunately, it's affecting our ability to manifest creatively in a sense that we can't really see the forest for the trees. We're moving forward, but we're not doing it in full clarity. That should happen with the fire element. Emotions are clouding that, and fire, or rather, fire is quenched by water, so you can see. So at the end of it, we come back into balance, though, with the 3, the third card of the major arcana, the Empress. And there we're talking about coming back together into balance and bringing, not just will in balance with heart and emotions, but also, spirit informing all of it. I think inherent in that is also swords, the air element, particularly with Venus present in this card. I think so. Basically, with the Empress, you have all elements in balance with her. Let me look one more thing here in the about Sawillo in the Rune Grimoire. What I love about this rune is the fact that it's not only as above so below, but the horizontal plane is evident as well. when you see the cross in tarot, you're looking at perfect balance. Okay, you're looking at the vertical plane, which is spirit versus ego, and you're looking at the polarity, the horizontal polarity line as well, which is masculine and feminine, or receptive and projective influences. And so all of that has to remain in balance, and ideally we appear in the center of that energetically. But with Sowillow, it is the rune of the will. It's what's going to guide you. So that was what I was actually looking for. So rune of the higher self, self-confidence, healing, all of that. But with poor, we're looking at a lack of impulse control, and that could be aligning with the 7 and the 5 of cups. So I think that what Sowillow is telling us is higher self needs to be informing all of that. And when we lose focus like we do here in the 7 and the 5, then basically that's not happening. Numerologically, it again becomes a 3, which is manifestation, mind, body, spirit alignment, which is essentially what this higher self rune is telling us to do. I mean, it might as well be written as a cross, really. Same energetic type of balance with it. And poor is just reminding us, let's guard against any impulsive behavior and settle in. Just settle in and start manifesting from love and joy and in harmony. Well, cool. Well, I think that that's all I have, really. I don't think there's really anything left to say here. Well, this one went better than the other two, I can tell you that. Anyhow, if I don't see you tomorrow, have a wonderful 4th. Be aware that animals, I had a dog that actually broke my front door. I have a different front door now. Years ago, whether it was gunshots or whether it was fireworks, the sound was just too much for him. And bless his heart, we actually had to go and get doggy downers for him, because, I mean, it was just to the point that he was beside himself. We have our 5 acres is a rectangle, and so is the neighbors. Well, he'd go past the neighbors and go to the other, and cross the street and turn around and sit there and shake the entire time and look back at us. And we're like, we have to go over and get him. And he didn't want to come. And he would just sit there and shake. It was just awful. We had cats. Most of them did fine, but did they? So be aware that, all of the big sounds and everything are scary for them. So if you have to go see a vet beforehand, do it. Just protect them. So anyhow, very cool. We'll see you maybe tomorrow or maybe not. I may see you on Monday. So we'll just see how tomorrow goes. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and blessed be.